Good morning, everybody. Today we are down in Madison, Wisconsin. John Deere is holding a meeting with most of its forage dealers, and we were asked to come down here. I think we're going to have some new info on some pretty cool stuff. And here they are, the new F8 and F9 series straight from Mother Deere. Let's talk through them a bit. They're going to be two different chopper lineups. The F8 will be replacing the 8000 series as the narrow body option, and the F9 is going to be replacing the wide bodied 9900 models. Both series are going to have increased bumps in horsepower, so with the narrow body will be anywhere from 419 to 636 horsepower, depending on what model is selected, and those units will be equipped with the John Deere 13.6 liter engine. Now when you get into the F9 lineup, that's when you're going to get into that larger crop channel, so it demands more horsepower. You're going to see the 18-liter John Deere engine in most of them, which is our same no-def engine as you see in the 9RX tractors. But when you get into our top two horsepower models, the 900 and the 1000, that will continue to run the liebherr 24-liter V12 engine. The F9 lineup will be between 690 and 1006 horsepower, depending on which model is selected. So updated features on it. It does have the sleek new design. We do have the new HarvestWorks cab up there on the top, which, if you're familiar with like a combine or anything else that has this thing, now we've got a swivel seat, which is also another ask that we've wanted for quite a while. Better lighting packages. We've got the Gen 5 display that's going to be in there as well, and then the 7500 globe. That's going to come integrated, especially on those signature models. That is one of the pieces of that signature package, is all the high-end technology. It's going to come with all that stuff installed right out of the gate. That's what sets us apart from the competition as far as the John Deere product goes, is that technology really gives us an edge, whether it's the Harvest Lab 3000 or whether it's our mapping capabilities, row sense, autofill, let's not talk about active fill. Actually, let's talk about active fill. So active fill, if we look at that guy has changed as well. It's a new updated package. The guys here who have run it are saying really good things about it. So it is going to be an updated version, does much better version, especially on some of these different trucks that we have. We've had some issues in the past getting locked onto a truck depending on what the configuration is, sides, if it's got like a mesh screen through it. Not an issue anymore according to them. We've got a ground speed automation feature now where this thing is going to run and try and keep the engine at a certain RPM, and once we start dragging it down, once we put it past the threshold that we set it to up in the monitor, it's going to slow the machine down, and if we're getting too high on that threshold, then it speeds everything back up. So the name of the game is going to be keeping this thing full. I can really see this potentially being something to utilize in corn, but time will tell. When we get it out to the field, we start playing with it, we'll know a lot more about that. Still comes with a Harvest Lab 3000 on the top. We can still get constituents on that are constantly upgrading. That is integrated into the display a little bit nicer as well. Not only is it integrated, we also have the capability of changing the offset on it. So if our moisture is off by like 5 points or less, we can actually make adjustments in there and make it more accurate. This is the all-new cab styling with the command arm. We've got the nice configurable joystick on here now, so we are still going to be running our header controls. We got our spout controls here, no different than what we've had in the past, but more ergonomic handle, and it's got some more adjustability to it too. There is one feature that I do want to find that was pretty surprising to us. So these machines have a economy mode to them that hasn't been in the industry before, where take this machine, this is the F9 1000. So it's pushing somewhere in the world of like 1006 horsepower. What you can do is you can have that max horsepower when you need it, but then if we're running in like a thin hay crop for some reason, we don't need to be using all that horsepower, we want to conserve fuel, we can actually take the engine and tune it down to a lower setting so that we're not using as much horsepower when we're out in the field, therefore saving ourselves fuel, wear and tear, etc. on that machine. So for example, in the F9 1000, normally it's running 1006 horsepower. We can actually tune it down to about 877 horse if we don't need that extra horsepower. We just want to cruise through the field. We don't want to use that extra fuel consumption. So we could save ourselves some money even by if we're getting that higher end one. Same thing goes in the 18 liters, whatever number that they're maxed at when you buy from factory, you can take them down to the lowest setting in that platform to help conserve that fuel. The narrow bodies are going to be the same way with that 13.6 liter engine in them as well. These new choppers have a new service area that I want to show you as well. So if I crack this guy open, I've got a latch there, I've got a latch here. Both need to be undone, which that one should be. Now I have a whole nother area that we can get in here and work on stuff. We can see where our controllers are at. Def header equipment is here. Just all sorts of different accessibility that we didn't used to have. We're gonna have that now. That's gonna be really nice. Go up into this engine bay area. Not a lot has changed. We're still running that same liebherr V12 engine. Some changes to the gearboxes. They made some things a little bit easier for us to access. If we go down in here, we've got different sight glasses that are a little bit easier to see, more room kind of in here. Get up in here in the engine bay. They did point out that the cooling stack is a little bit bigger, so we have more cooling capacity on these engines, as well as we do have a bigger fan now and a little bit of a different design here. Come up here in the service bay with me. So a little bit different than what they used to have. They used to have a swing-in door here to get everything installed. Now everything's going to be on a track system. Previous models, or if the grass chute would swing up and away if you had a smaller KP. In this case, we've got only large KPs going in this thing, so the grass chute is going to come out. But they've completely changed it to where this grass chute comes out relatively quickly now, slides out for removal, and then that KP slides in there. No big deal. They really widened this out a little bit more as well. It's a little bit easier to get in here, get things serviced, kind of go through the different woes of putting in KPs. They did say they've got a guy out in California who was swapping KPs from like a 10-inch to a 12-inch, and it was under 15 minutes that they were able to get that swap done. So should still be relatively easy to get some of this stuff moved around. Another big complaint has kind of been fixed that we always talk about anyways, and that's going to be with our inoculant system. So in the past, this tank was mounted on the outside, and actually that sits just like that. Our old inoculant tank was always mounted out here, and then Deere did not have an option for an insulated tank, which with inoculant, when you're putting that on, you really have to have insulated tanks so that we're not killing the bacteria and the microbes in there. But now it's behind this swinging door, so not only is it tucked away and shaded from everything, now it's in an insulated tank. So now that it has an insulated tank, everything's tucked in, everything looks clean. Pretty big improvement as far as all that goes. We can utilize their pump, their tank now. We don't have to be putting aftermarket stuff on. And I don't mind that it is tucked away nice and clean behind that panel, again, to keep just everything kind of shaded. It does have a clean water tank now as well, so you can rinse out these systems at the end of the day if you've got a plug situation, something like that. The dosing system is here, and now we can actually prime the system from here by just pushing a button. It'll start that pump and run it without having to go up into the cab and do that. They made some updates to the KP as well. We've got 12-inch processing rolls on it, so quite a bit more room of drum that's going to be on it. Now they are telling us that when we start these things, because everything is so much bigger and you have so much more surface area, you're supposed to start with a wider gap. So traditionally where you'd be running these things at like 1 mil or 1.5 mil, we're actually supposed to start these things out at 2.5 mil and check it from there, because the processing is just so much more aggressive and efficient on these things, which if we can keep that gap open, we're going to save ourselves a lot of fuel and wear and tear. We can finally there's a way to adjust it from the cab. That is an option. You can get it manually. Otherwise, if you want to have the auto adjust, you can do that right from inside the cab, and we don't have to get out of the thing anymore. So we're talking about the shear processor. They have that one. They're still going to have a John Deere Extreme. The John Deere Extreme is the shear processor. That premium KP, they're still going to offer that. That one's going to be a little bit of a bigger diameter as well. I'll have to look back through my notes, edit in here what that is. But either way, we've got two different KP designs and a couple different speed differentials on them. So when we talk about speed differentials, that's how fast one roll spins to the other. And generally, you have like a 30 to 50% differentiation. So instead of just passing through and cutting it, let's say, you're grinding it, because one one is spinning faster than the other, so it's pulverizing that corn as it goes through. And typically the more aggressive speed you have, the wider gap you can run those KPs in, because you got more grinding action going on. If we can run these processors at a wider gap, then we're going to increase fuel economy, we're going to decrease the wear and tear on our rolls while still maintaining the high quality of kernel processing score that is demanded by a kernel processor in any machine. A couple other small updates that are minor but are going to be useful for us. Our DEF tank. DEF tank did get increased to a 40-gallon tank, which is insane amount of DEF that we can carry on board. We can stick 40 gallons in that thing, and then if we look up to the top of the machine, that's the same spout that we've always been running, but we actually get more rotation out of it. So previously it was like 210 degrees of rotation is what we could get from left to right. This unit is still that way, but now if you lift that thing all the way up in the air, as high as it'll go, you can actually get another 10 degrees out of it going either direction. So we're now technically 230 degree spout rotation. And that's going to be a wrap on the Forage meeting with John Deere. As always, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you liked. If there were some details that we missed that we need to clarify on the new machine and some of the opportunities there, let us know that as well. We will catch you guys on the next one.